All right, let me start with something that might feel uncomfortably familiar. You wake up, check your phone, and already there's a quiet pressure sitting on your chest. Bills, work, messages you haven't replied to. Somewhere in the back of your mind, there's this persistent thought, I should be further ahead by now. Maybe you don't say it out loud. Maybe you laugh it off, but it shows up when you're paying rent, when you're buying groceries, when you see someone your age traveling, buying a home, or talking about investments. And you wonder, how did everyone else figure this out? Because you work hard. You try to be responsible. You're not reckless with money. And yet, wealth still feels far away. If that's you, I want you to hear this clearly. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're stupid. And it's definitely not because you don't want it enough. Most adults never build wealth for reasons that are quiet, invisible, and deeply psychological. Today, I want to walk you through 7 of them, not to shame you, not to motivate you with hustle culture, but to help you finally see what's really been happening under the surface. Because once you see it, everything starts to make more sense. Here's the problem. Most people think wealth is about income. They believe if they just made more money, everything would fall into place. But that's not what actually happens. I've seen people making 6 figures who live paycheck to paycheck, and I've seen people with average salaries slowly build real stability over time. The difference isn't intelligence. It's not even discipline, at least not in the way we usually think. It's awareness. We grow up learning how to work. We're taught how to follow rules. We're trained to survive. But almost nobody teaches us how to build wealth emotionally. So we carry invisible habits from childhood, from stress, from social pressure, and we make financial decisions from a place of fear, comparison, and exhaustion. And those decisions compound quietly. Let's talk about the first silent reason. The first reason most adults never build wealth is because they're always in survival mode. Not dramatic survival, not crisis survival. I'm talking about low-level, constant financial tension. Rent is due, groceries cost more, your car needs something, your phone bill went up. There's always something, so your nervous system stays switched on. And when you're in survival mode, your brain doesn't think long-term. It can't. Psychologically, survival mode narrows your focus. You prioritize today over tomorrow. Immediate relief over future comfort. That's why it feels so good to swipe your card on something small after a hard week. That's why saving feels emotionally harder than spending. That's why investing sounds abstract when your present feels heavy. It's not weakness. It's biology. When money feels tight, your brain goes into protection mode. You stop thinking in decades, you think in days. And wealth requires long-term thinking. If you're constantly putting out fires, you never get to plant trees. The second reason is lifestyle creep. This one is sneaky. You get a raise, you upgrade your apartment, you buy better clothes, you eat out a little more. You finally get that car. None of it feels irresponsible. It feels earned. And honestly, it is. But here's what happens quietly in the background. Your expenses rise to meet your income. So even though you make more, you don't actually keep more. And what's dangerous about lifestyle creep isn't the spending. It's the normalization. Very quickly, your new life feels like your baseline. So now, instead of saving that extra money, you're maintaining a higher standard of living. And stepping back feels like failure. Your comfort becomes non-negotiable. Wealth needs margin. But lifestyle creep eats margin slowly, politely, without ever announcing itself. The third reason is comparison. This one hurts because we live online now. You see vacations, you see new homes, you see businesses launching, you see people winning. And even if you know social media is curated, your nervous system doesn't care. It still registers, I'm behind. So you spend to keep up emotionally. You buy things not because you need them, but because you don't want to feel left out. You make financial choices based on how you appear instead of how you feel. Comparison turns money into identity. And once money becomes identity, logic disappears. You stop asking, is this helping my future? You start asking, what will people think? That shift alone costs people decades of wealth. The fourth reason is that most adults confuse comfort with safety. This one is deep. Comfort feels like safety. A steady paycheck feels safe. Familiar routines feel safe. Not rocking the boat feels safe. But comfort is emotional. Safety is financial. True financial safety comes from buffers, savings, flexibility, options. But building those things requires temporary discomfort, saying no to upgrades, sitting with less, delaying gratification. And for many people, especially if you grew up with instability, comfort feels sacred. So you protect comfort instead of building security. You choose what feels good now over what protects you later. Again, not because you're careless, because your nervous system learned that comfort equals survival. The fifth reason is emotional spending. Nobody likes to talk about this, but money is emotional. We spend when we're tired, when we're lonely, when we're stressed, when we feel unappreciated. We reward ourselves for making it through hard weeks. We numb uncomfortable feelings with purchases. We chase dopamine through shopping, and it works, temporarily. But every emotional dollar spent is a dollar that doesn't get a chance to grow. And most people don't even realize they're doing it. They just feel broke and confused. Wealth isn't blocked by math. It's blocked by emotional patterns. The sixth reason is that investing feels scary and complicated. Let's be honest. For a lot of adults, investing sounds like something rich people do. It feels technical, risky, exclusive, so they delay. They wait until they feel smarter, until they have more money, until life is calmer. But life doesn't get calmer, and time is the most powerful factor in building wealth. Compound interest doesn't care about perfection, it cares about consistency. Even small amounts started early matter more than big amounts started late. But fear keeps people on the sidelines. They keep their money in checking accounts, slowly losing value to inflation, while telling themselves they'll learn about investing someday. Someday turns into years. Years turn into regret. And the seventh reason might be the most important of all. Most adults don't believe wealth is meant for them. They think it's for people who had better parents, better education, better connections, better timing. So they unconsciously self-sabotage. They don't take opportunities seriously. They don't prioritize saving. They don't picture themselves financially free. Because deep down, they've already decided that stability is the best they can hope for. Your beliefs shape your behavior. If you believe wealth is for other people, you'll never build systems to support it. You'll survive, but you won't accumulate. Now, here's the turning point. Wealth isn't built by extraordinary people. It's built by ordinary people who slowly change how they think about money. They stop seeing money as something to react to. They start seeing it as something to direct. They realize that financial peace doesn't come from earning more. It comes from needing less, planning better, and giving their future self a seat at the table. They stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "Is this worth delaying my freedom?" That one question changes everything, because suddenly, every purchase becomes a trade. You're trading future flexibility for present comfort. And once you see that clearly, your decisions become calmer, more intentional, less emotional. So what does this look like in real life? It starts small. You build an emergency fund, even if it's just a few $100s, not to be rich, to breathe easier. You automate tiny investments, even if it feels insignificant, because consistency beats intensity. You notice your emotional spending patterns instead of judging them. You let yourself enjoy life, but you don't let lifestyle upgrades steal your future. You learn just enough about investing to get started, not to be an expert, just to participate. You stop comparing your timeline to other people's highlights, and most importantly, you start treating your future self like someone you care about, not a stranger you'll deal with later. You don't have to do everything at once. Wealth is built quietly, boringly, over time, not through massive breakthroughs, through small, repeated choices. Let me leave you with this. If you feel behind right now, you're not broken. You're just waking up. Most people never question their financial patterns. They stay on autopilot forever. But you're here. You're listening. That matters. Progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from awareness, from choosing slightly better, slightly more intentional actions, again and again. You don't need to become someone else to build wealth. You just need to start showing up differently for the person you're becoming. Be patient with yourself. Be honest about your habits. And remember, financial peace isn't about having everything. It's about knowing you're moving forward, slowly, calmly, on purpose. And that's more powerful than it sounds.